Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you. Blind ambition.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. We're on episode number 99. It is Sunday morning, day after UFC Lincoln. I'm once again joined with my co-host, Antacool. What's going on, man?
Today is a revolutionary day in the DTP, in the history of the DTP.
99.
Well, that too, but I for the first time in the however many episodes I've actually done with you, I'm actually sitting at a desk.
We're moving on up.
Exactly.
We're moving on up.
I'm currently in a folding chair, but
That's still good.
it is an improvement from how I normally record the show, which is basically me laying down.
There you go. See, we're making strides over here.
So I'm hoping it helps me sound less tired.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Like the weather's getting better. Like it's warm outside, but it's not like
Oppressively hot.
yeah, like the humidity's not too bad, so like you can breathe. The sun is out today. I feel good.
See, I like the oppressively hot weather.
It doesn't.
Well, I hope you're. I don't know what it's going to be like down there, but here it's going to be in the 90s this week. So, it's supposed to rain next weekend. God damn it! It rains like every weekend.
Yeah, we've been getting pounded with that too. Like our rain will come in just these random hard spurts, and then it'll stop. But I'm kind of over it.
No, like this is legit. Like every weekend since like June, it's rained here, like and thunderstormed, and I get stuck in the house, like, and like I only get one day off a week, man, and I can't go outside, and everything around here is closed because Bergen County has a freaking like the blue laws.
The struggle.
it is a pain.
The struggle. But, you know.
Rain when I'm at work, and I don't care.
Right. We'll make it, though. We'll make it. But it's been a pretty decent weekend, other than work. But I'm here. I feel pretty good today. It's like, I ain't gonna say I'm well rested. That might be an overstatement. But I
mean, this card only ended like 8 hours ago.
Right. But I'm here. So real quick before we get started, just run off the top cities for the listeners. So top cities this week, coming in at number 1, Everett, Washington. Coming in at number 2, Berlin, Germany. Coming in at number 3, Amsterdam, Netherlands. At number 4, we got San Francisco, California. And coming in at number 5, we got Seattle, Washington. So, shout outs to the entire West Coast and whoever in Germany randomly clicked on here, and whoever in the Netherlands found your way over here. We appreciate you guys.
I'm curious how many of the people who actually click over from all these other countries actually speak English. Like Germany and the Netherlands, they probably listener probably spoke English, but like when we get cats from like India, like Eastern Europe,
a random click from Israel down here. Oh no, we do have in India. They're way at the bottom of the list, but
yeah,
there was one Indian click.
Like Egypt, like who's the cat who's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm listening to.
Hey man, we appreciate you. You might not know what you're getting into, but just stay here. We'll try to keep you entertained, you know, for an hour or so.
When we blow up big enough, the Dojo Talk podcast will be translated into different
Right.
We just we'll hire a staff of translators.
There we go.
It's gonna be like a film podcast where like they talk over the film. So they're just gonna be talking over like our audio.
That's not a bad idea. I don't know any other podcasts that are translated. That might be something. Maybe that's the way to break into the foreign market.
Exactly. It's exactly like it says. They dub over us, so you hear us in the background, but they're speaking. It's like watching like a Russian broadcast of a boxing match.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is how it is when I normally watch my fights. When I'm using my alternative methods, which I don't have to use anymore because I now have legit access to Fox Sports 1 and 2. So I don't have to bootleg these cards anymore. I watched this card yesterday in real time. I didn't have to worry about my computer potentially catching AIDS. It was a good feeling. It was a good feeling. I like this. I like this.
I'm so used to hearing like Teddy Atlas and Max Kellerman like in the far, far background while some dude in Russian is just like monotonely explaining the action.
Oh man. But real quick, I'm gonna get this off. Well, let me get off the plugs first. As always, you can listen to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. You are iTunes. Please rate, subscribe, leave reviews, all that good stuff. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can hit us up on the Dojo Talk Facebook page. Follow me on Twitter @SerialSensei. All that good stuff. But I'm going to get this out the way now. We're on episode 99, which means episode 100 is right around the corner. So the next card, the Woodley and Till pay-per-view, is 2 weeks from now as of the day we're recording this. So in between then, episode 100 I would like to do. But if you're a listener, I need your help. We're going to need questions. I want episode 100 to just be a fun episode. We can come on here and just kind of, just do whatever.
For 2 hours?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Well, we'll see if we can bring, Joey and Stokes on if they're free. But we just want questions. We want a mailbag episode. And I normally don't like tagging people in social media posts. I just don't like being that guy. But I'm going to do it this week. So by the time you guys are hearing this, I may even put this out today on Sunday. I don't know, just to get a head start. I want questions for episode 100. So if you can hear this, you can send the questions to Twitter. You can DM me. You can tag me in a tweet. You can put them on the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page. You can send them to the email, dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Send any questions you got. It doesn't have to be specifically about this card we're talking about today. It can be about any combat sports related, anything that happened.
It doesn't even have to be combat sports, man. It could be anything.
Anything. You want to talk about movies? This is the episode for us to just kind of run wild. So if you want to talk about combat sports, that's fine. If you want to ask us about a movie, TV show, well, don't ask me about a TV show because I only watch like 3 TV shows, so I probably haven't seen it. But, whatever questions you got on your mind, and anything, send them in, and I will be tagging people in posts because I just want questions because, I think it'll be a fun time for all of us. So I would really, really appreciate it if you guys could pull through and send some questions in, man. So episode 100 will be a nice fun episode. We can just kind of run wild and do whatever. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. So if I tag you in a post, don't be alarmed. I just want a question, and then I'll leave you alone. But so now that we got that out the way, I will let you handle the news because I had a good streak of 2 weeks where I was writing the news down, and then I fell off this week. I did not write not one single note, so I will let you handle fight announcements and all of that good stuff.
All right. Let's start off with the news real quick because I don't have a whole ton of it aside from the fight announcements. So according to Scott Coker, Vitaly Minakov, former Bellator heavyweight champion, world sport sambo champion, Um, dude with some type of like desk job for the Russian government is back. He's tentatively signing back with Bellator. The plan is to have him fight once and then have him fight the winner of the heavyweight Grand Prix, which kind of just you're basically sacrificing whoever wins the Grand Prix, unless it's Ryan Bader, because that's the only dude I see like having a shot. But Bellator signed 9 European fighters, and one of which we all know from his highlight reel KO of Charlie Ward, Galor Bafando, the man who threw Charlie Ward on his face. No, it was like 10 fighters, but yeah. So he was the big one that they signed, which probably isn't very telling for all the other ones. But they also signed Cage Warriors and Bama veteran Carl Moore, Malin Hermanson, George Tacos, Craig Turner, Lewis Long, Chris Bungard, Ashley Grimshaw. If you watch Cage Warriors or Bama, you know who a lot of these people are. So it's cool to see Bellator get young talent, even though they have to leave the country to do it. Then one championship announces that they're going to do a Tokyo event, and then they announce their full schedule for 2019. So if you follow one championship, check out their app. They have the schedule loaded on there. You'll know what's happening moving forward. And then last bit of news, Michael Chandler has re-signed with Bellator, killing my dream of a Tito Ortiz, Chuck 3, Alvarez, Chandler 3 Golden Boy MMA event. So
yeah, I thought that was interesting that they I feel like that's a good sign for them. I feel like for the fans it might not be, because I think we just kind of want to see Chandler fight other competition at this point.
Right.
But I feel like for Bellator that's a good look. Like, that's, if you've been watching Bellator since the beginning, like, Chandler's just, he's always been that guy. And I think it's a good look for them that they've just been able to keep him around for this long. And
I think Chandler's just smart. He saw Eddie Alvarez. His UFC run's been kind of skewed because he won the title, but he just as easily could have like 1 win in the UFC or 2 wins in the UFC right now.
Yeah.
Legitimately, the Gaethje fight and the RDA fight are arguably the only ones he actually won. Like, he could have easily lost the Pettis fight, could have easily lost the Melendez fight. So, like, I think he saw that and he's just like, you know what? I make 6 figures a fight here. I'm always the headlining act.
They take care of him.
Like, if I get a title shot when I want, basically. Granted, he's been struggling to get one rematch with Brent Primus because no one is sure if Brent Primus even exists. But, like, there are benefits to being the big fish in the small pond. And Bellator just signed that deal for, like, 9 figures with DAZN. And I'm sure he's took a look at that and was like, I want a piece of that. So,
yeah. I'm not mad at it. I ain't mad at it. I mean, as a fan, it kind of sucks, but for him personally, that was a good move.
Yep. And hopefully it works out for him. The dude has some bizarre bad luck in his career.
Yeah.
So, but on to fight announcements. The big one being the super fight between Cris, Cyborg, and Amanda Nunes, which is set for UFC 232, which I believe is going to be in late December. We also have heard word that, but it's not official as far as I can tell, that Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega is going to be targeted for UFC 231, which I believe is going to be in Canada. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis is in the works for UFC 229. Robbie Lawler versus Wonder Boy is being targeted for the first UFC event on ESPN in January. If I'm remembering right, they were also contemplating doing DC Brock on that card. And from what I can tell, Brock has now off from like Monday Night Raw. Like the rest of his days are like I don't know if voided is the right word, but he is back full time training MMA. So keep an eye out on that. Neil Magny got was it Neil Magny? Yeah, Neil Magny, who was originally supposed to fight Alex Oliveira at UFC Fight Night 137. Kicked that pulled out of that fight so he could go fight Santiago Ponzinibbio in the headlining fight for UFC Buenos Aires. In his place, Alex Oliveira will be fighting Carlo Pedersoli. Cesar Ferreira versus Tom Breeze is set for UFC Buenos Aires as well. A couple fights have been added to that UFC Moscow card next month. Rustam Kabulov versus Cajun Johnson. Ramazan Emir versus Claudio Silva. Those are going to be on that Moscow card. Olivier Aubin Mercier will be fighting Gilbert Burns at UFC 231. Jared Gordon will fight Joaquim Silva at UFC on Fox 31. Paul Craig is going to fight newcomer and Dana White Contender Series alum Jim Crute at UFC Adelaide. Gray Maynard is going to fight Dick Lentz at UFC 229. Luis Pena, a.k.a. Violent Bob Ross, is going to be fighting tough winner Mike Trizano at UFC Denver. And over in Bellator, we have Brendan Ward, who's going to be fighting Andre Fialho at UFC Bellator 207. And Phil Davis versus Vadim Nemkov will be at the Israel show on November 15th in Bellator. Also, last bit, the Ryzen 13 card is available. Is like they announced the entirety of the card. And it's going to be headlined by a kickboxing match between Kyoji Horiguchi and Tenshin Nasukawa. Right? And it's also going to be featuring the return of Mirko Krokop from his fifth retirement. He's going to be fighting a dude named Roque Martinez.
Oh, I know him. He was on why do I know Roque Martinez? Who did I just watch him fight? He's a decent heavyweight. He can throw.
He's fought for Ryzen before.
He was on the last Ryzen card. That's where I know him from.
Yeah, he fought Jerome LeBanner at Ryzen 2017 Autumn Grand Prix, whatever they like to title that one, and he fought Kiyoshi Kuwabara at the last Ryzen card, Ryzen 12.
Yeah, I think he knocked him out.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a decent heavyweight.
There's some really good fights on that card. You got Ayaka Hamasaki versus Mina Karabe.
No. And the one random bit of fight news that I had is Anthony Njokuani's coming back. He's fighting Andy Sauer in one championship.
That's
in a kickboxing match. So that's going down. That's the thing. Some of these fights we got to go back over. Some of these I just can't gloss over and not talk about them. I don't even know where to start. The Nasukawa and Horiguchi. Obviously for star power, this is a huge fight.
Nasukawa and Horiguchi are the two male fighters that Ryzen has been building around. So
yeah, so there will be a lot of eyes on this.
I was at first a little confused that they didn't run it. Save that for New Year's Eve. But I guess they want both guys on that card to get a win, or not get a win, but they want positive feelings that night for at least one of them. So
that's a dangerous fight, man.
Yeah,
I think for Gooch, I think that's in a straight kickboxing match. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean,
don't.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win. But I'm happy he took it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's. I'm pretty sure they threw a nice bag at him.
Remember he asked for the fight.
Oh yeah, he did. So, well, either way, that's just one of those main attraction fights. That's a big one.
That's one of those that only happens in Japan fights and sometimes in Bellator.
Right. So you got to take it when you can get it. But Yeah, in a straight kickboxing match, I think Nasukawa is gonna take him. But regardless, is gonna be fun. It's just it'll be one of those spectacles that you gotta watch.
I just want some weird karate shit.
Right.
Please.
And then the Nunes and Cyborg. So I was thinking about this fight. So if Cyborg wins this, like what else is there in MMA to do? Do you go to Bellator and fight Julia Budd? Like I don't know what else you hang around. Excuse me, in the UFC for.
To collect checks.
Yeah,
That's basically it.
Because it's like she's literally running out of people to beat, I guess.
I mean, she's already out of people to beat because she's fighting her competition has basically been a bunch of 135ers.
Yeah.
Like, and Kayla Harrison, they're not going to let Kayla Harrison fight her for like 5 years. Like, by the time she's pushing like 40.
Yeah. And Kayla's not ready for that right now. As much as I enjoy watching her fight, I don't think she's ready for that.
Like, they have the featherweight division tournament coming, a tough tournament that I guess it's already done technically, but that's going to start airing this week. Tough 28. I imagine she's going to end up fighting whoever comes out of that.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta pray whoever comes out of that is somebody like just somebody who can put on a decent fight. I'm not even expecting a world beater at this point. Just somebody who will even give you the slightest thought, like maybe she could rock Cyborg or something. Like I don't know. Just something. Give me something to hold on to.
Just a little bit of fight announcement news. Apparently, they already have a fight scheduled for the Tough 28 finale. Pedro Munoz versus Brian Caraway. Yeah, but like I'm just looking at the roster right now. I'm like, who in this roster? Like, there's some girls in here. I'm like, okay, they have really good builds, but they also only have like 2 pro fights. Like Macy Chasen is like a legit featherweight. Like she's not like a blown up 135. She's 5'9", 5'10", and 145 pounds. Like she's a legit featherweight. But again, she has 2 pro fights. And like between her 2 pro fights, like only one of her opponents had a fight prior. Like I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this Bia Malecki woman can do, because someone alerted me that she was like a Muay Thai fighter, like she was on the amateur team for Sweden, and Sweden is, it's not Thailand, but it's a pretty damn good Muay Thai country. Like you got your Tamor brothers who came out of there, and they've managed to make the transition over to MMA. So like I'm excited that maybe she can do some things. But again, she only has 2 pro fights. And don't get me wrong, she's 26. She could turn out to be great, but she has 2 pro fights. She's not gonna fight Cyborg anytime soon. And then you have like Pani Kianzad, who is a 135er. Marcia Allen, who is like 36 and a 135er. Katharina Leonard, who just got knocked out by Sarah Kaufman. Like I don't know what stuff for Cyborg to do, except like, she's just like the woman who does like the weird event on ESPN Plus where she goes and she fights like Cecilia Breakhouse in boxing.
All right.
Like I would legitimately love for her, Cris Cyborg, to just be like modern day Lucia Riker and just like go fight the best fighters at their sport.
To be honest, like at this point, I think that's assuming she wins that fight. That's all you can do. Like
have her do like the Eddie Bravo Invitational. Have her fight like the world champion jiu-jitsu at her weight, like, or the absolute weight or whatever. Have her fight, like, have her rematch Jarena Bars. Like, I'm sure her Bellator kickboxing contract isn't that like ironclad. I'm sure they could hold an event on like on the streaming service for it. Same with like the Breakhouse fight. Like I'm sure they could get money from doing it on Fight Pass.
Yeah, you got to find some way to keep her. Well, I think she did express interest in wanting to do boxing next. At least I thought I read something.
She wants to fight
while ago.
Breakhouse. She's been calling for that fight for like a year or two now.
I mean, at this point, man, if she wins the Nunes fight impressively and does what she normally does, you can't even be mad at any move she makes after that, because like there's not a ton left in MMA that's really worth sticking around for, unless some star emerges from between now and then, which I don't really see happening. But yeah, I don't know what else she sticks out, what she sticks around for.
The Holly Holm rematch, maybe. Like, there's money in that for her.
Maybe because Holly did have a really good showing against,
well,
and I mean,
well, Holly Holm seems to have her own fan base, and like Cris Cyborg has her own fan base. And, like, there's a sizable amount of people, however ignorant, thought that Home got robbed.
They're still there.
Yeah, and they're there to be exploited for money.
And I think, at least of all the people that Cyborg has fought, like, Home,
went the distance.
I'll give her credit. She went the distance. I think she's, like, the most game. Like, she's going to stay in the fight the entire time. She might not win it, but she'll be there. Like she'll make it a fight. So maybe you run that back, but
it comes with a lifetime of boxing where like you're losing a fight, but you know you can do enough to keep up.
Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. But I'm glad that the Cyborg Nunes fight has happened. That's definitely gonna be awesome. Two very violent people. So
it's funny because Cyborg has the bigger casting between the two. So if Nunes doesn't get her out in the first round, she's going to be in for a very type of night.
That's going to be a very rude awakening, and that is not somebody you want to have your rude awakening against. That could be painful. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe Nunes will surprise us. Maybe she'll,
perfect game plan.
Yeah, like I could see that. I'm not picking that to happen, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Like she comes up with a master game plan. She's gonna take her lumps in the fight. There's no way around that. But maybe she gets out of it. She sticks to a game plan and she finds a way to eke out one of those like crazy close split decisions. I don't know. We'll see. And then real quick,
shouts to Amanda Nunes, by the way. She's got engaged to Nina Ansaroff.
And then you get this fight.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta pay for the wedding somehow.
That is true. That's true.
Them shits is expensive.
Yeah. Very. Very.
Damn.
And then the only other fight, I don't want to spend too long, so we'll get around to the card, but with Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis. I'm really putting myself out there with this. I don't know why I have this sneaking suspicion that Pettis can win this.
Dude,
Ferguson
has to crack eventually, right? And like him tearing his knee and doing all this stupid shit in training. Like he got out of surgery and like 2 weeks later was back lifting weights and posting videos on Instagram. Like this man is not built to last. He has to break. It's like a law of nature. It has to happen eventually.
I think the only thing that kind of like worries me in this fight for Pettis is like Ferguson's one of those guys to where he's just a madman. He's never really out of the fight until you put him out of the fight, and I don't think Pettis could like break him. So I feel like there could be a point where Ferguson just kind of overwhelms him and it just becomes too much. But
like this should be an ass kicking by Ferguson up until the point where if he's going to win, if Pettis is going to win the fight, up until the point that he lands something that like just completely shuts down Ferguson, like a head kick or like a kick to the body that folds him in half. Like he should be getting his ass kicked because Ferguson is I besides maybe Justin Gaethje, I can't think of a worse matchup for Pettis. Just somebody who's just not going to like be scared off by his like offense and just going to march him down like a madman. and just tried to beat the crap out of him.
The one thing I think Pettis always has in the best in his back pocket. I think he's one of the best like opportunists.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
yeah,
That's his forte. Yeah.
yeah. That he has that ace in the hole. He just needs one moment. He can grab a neck. He can grab an arm, or like you said, he might get off a head kick out of nowhere or a body kick. I have a. I'm not gonna. I can't. I don't know if I'm gonna pick him, but I have this feeling like he might. This fight might not go the way people think it's gonna go. Like he might make this a much tougher outing than I think people will give him credit for, or he might get steamrolled. Who knows?
Like, like I said, I think we've seen the best of Ferguson. Like I think I don't know if it's like decline or if it is like a gradual thing or like he just falls off a mountain. But like, I don't think we're gonna see the dude who fought like Edson Barbosa or Kevin Lee. I don't think we're gonna see that guy anymore. Like I could be wrong. He could be Justin Gaethje tough, where like it just doesn't matter how much damage he takes. He's just going to be that guy. But like I don't feel right picking Ferguson anymore. You know.
Yeah, but we'll see. That's a fun, interesting matchup. Which also begs the question: nobody still knows who's headlining UFC 230.
Just let Nate Diaz do it. Like I dude, Diaz Poirier is not like I get it. It's not a title fight. It's not like in a lot of ways it might not even be the number one contender fight, but that's fun.
Yeah, I'll say it's just a fight that a lot of people would watch, and there's no way that fight's not entertaining.
I mean, like, BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz got to headline the pay-per-view. Yeah. It was for I don't even think it was for a title.
Nope, so, it was not.
Like not an interim title, so you just let it be.
I just have a hope that somehow John Jones will headline 230. Will it happen? Probably not.
Yeah, you know what happened? It'll be Nate Diaz or Poirier as the main event, but like Nate won't show up. like they'll have their they'll have his ticket ready for him, and he'll not show up to the airport. He's like, I never fucking agreed to this.
That's that guy in the airport who's holding the sign, Nate Diaz. He's just waiting for him to get in the limo. He just never pops up.
It's like that. But, oh my god! Remember that embedded where like was it Nick or was it Nate where they went to the airport and just filmed the gate waiting for him, and then he just never showed up. And it turns out he had been in Vegas for like a week.
Oh man. We'll see though. They gotta have something sneaky up their pocket for 230. Somebody knows something somewhere, and they're just not saying anything. But we'll see. I'm pretty sure that announcement will come sooner or later.
It's GSP versus I don't know Silva.
I feel like that could happen.
They listed him recently as like a lightweight contender, so maybe they'll do GSP BJ Penn.
No, we don't need to run that back.
They'd be like, "Oh, you're doing Chuck Tito this month? Fuck that! I'll show you, sad."
The rivalry renewed. Oh man, if what if BJ won? He wouldn't win.
But what if he?
I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't think my mind could handle like
I might have to shut down for a while after that.
Yeah. This podcast might be over. Like that might be the finale of this show. It might just end. Like I can't cover that. But yeah, that's all for news and fight announcements. So we will just get on to the main festivities. UFC Lincoln went down last night, headlined by Justin Gaethje and James Vick, and we'll just jump into it. Yeah, this main event, not a lot to talk about. Only went a minute and 27 seconds. I wasn't surprised that this went the way it did, and I'll tell you why. So one of the reasons I predicted Gaethje to win this, I think I said it on the last episode, is that Vick hasn't fought anybody like Gaethje. And Vick has, obviously, if you've watched like his last 3 to 4 fights, like he's looked pretty good. He's been getting guys out of there. He's been handling business. But if you look at his level of competition, it's not the same kind of people Gaethje has fought. And I know it's easy to point at Gaethje and say, oh, he's dropped, 2 straight before this?
Yeah.
But, keep in context the people that he was dropping 2 straight to. Like, he's losing to other people who are somewhat in a similar vein of him, of like they're just animals. Like, they're just rabid, just like beasts. And they can hang in there with him. They'll eat their lumps too, because Gaethje's never going to let you leave a fight unscathed. But if you've been watching Gaethje since World Series of Fighting, like, he's just one of those guys that he drags everybody he fights into deep waters. Like, nobody gets out of a Gaethje fight without a mark, on their face, without some scratches, without some blood. And then I look at Vick's fights, which I did actually on Saturday when I got off of work. I just went back and just looked at a lot of like his last 3 to 4 fights. And I'm like, Vick hasn't been in these wars, man. He hasn't, not saying he hasn't had to overcome adversity, but he hasn't fought an animal like this. So I've seen Gaethje come through when his back is against the wall. I haven't seen Vick do that. So I didn't, it was hard for me to pick him. And we saw what happened. I mean, he started off good. I think it started off kind of like a typical Vick fight. He's using range. He's pumping the jab. He's always throwing kicks to keep people at bay. The front teep, body kick. He was doing his typical, James Vick, things, his tools that he normally uses. But it only takes one. And there was a point where Gaethje had closed the distance at one point, and I think they had clinched up against the cage for a minute. And I was like, all Gaethje needs is just another moment like that, but he just needs to land, and it'll be over. And that's what he did. He closed the distance. Vick got caught with his back kind of like against the cage, so he kind of couldn't really circle out of the way. I think the way he wanted to. He ate a massive right hand. And he did one of those folds that, like, you knew it was over. Like, when a guy hits one of those kind of falls, like,
it's like you didn't get it's like you got punched. It's like somebody took your head and just threw you to the ground.
Right. Like, he did like it was like he got punched and he was about to transition into like a tuck and roll. Like, it was and we've said this plenty of times, when you fall, it wasn't like face forward, but just when you do like the forward fall, well, his was like a sideways forward fall, I guess. But if you fall and your face is one of the first things that hits the ground, it's not good. And he ate that overhand right, and it was over very shortly after that. And he was clearly, like, you just look at his face, even after like they had to help him up, like he had no idea.
Like, Gaethje went over to shake his hand while he was on the stool. And Vick tried to take him down because he thought the fight was still going.
Yeah, that was a hard right hand. Like, Gaethje can crack, man. And
yeah,
I mean,
so I like you called it, because we did the predictions last week. I was like, I just can't trust Gaethje. He's been knocked out twice in like the last 8 months, and instead of taking time off, him and his camp were like, let's just go the fuck back out there. And to their credit, they got the right matchup for it, because Vick, just going back to the Beneil Dariush fight, like, Beneil Dariush is a good fighter. He shouldn't be knocking you out with like one punch. So I got the message. Like, I got the idea that, yeah, Vick probably can't take a Gaethje punch, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to trap Vick just because of his length and like just the amount of damage and wear and tear on him. And it was like, no, Gaethje doesn't give a fuck about that. He's just going to march you down and punch you in the face. So, yeah, no, like, I'm happy because fuck Vic and fuck Team Ward Irvin. Like, I, yeah, I think Gaethje's probably the best pressure fighter in MMA right now. Like, I'm trying to think of one that's better. It's like maybe DJ. Um, yeah, no, I can't think of one.
Yeah, cause it's it's that fight ending kind of pressure. Like I feel like when he starts walking you down, there's like, and if you're not built to handle that, that's got to be like a feeling of just impending doom. Like the room starts shrinking and you just start panicking. Like this guy's gonna kill me.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I don't know how you. Like, oh, we've seen how you deal with it. You meet him, you meet him in the middle. You know, like you. Another thing, like Vic, he's an outside fight. Like you don't beat Gaethje by beating him on the outside. Like Poirier got away with it in spurts, but like at the end of the day, Poirier beat him by countering him in the pocket as he was trying to throw an empty leg, well, not empty, but like a leg kick with no setup. Like the way Alvarez beat him, and he beat him a lot cleaner than Poirier did, was just meeting him in the middle and just not being like just not letting him back him up.
hmm.
You stay tight, like for all his for all of Gaethje's strengths, just like having a guy just go to war with him is probably the best like option. Well, not go to war, but yeah, stay tight,
Yeah.
keep everything short, go to the body, wear him down. So like you're just not going to beat him at range because he could back you up.
Yeah, I'm saying it's almost scary because you know to beat Gaethje, like you have to engage, like you can't. And that was another thing I noticed watching a lot of James Vick's older fights is that he's not a pressure fighter. He's not an in the pocket kind of guy. Like he's just gonna keep you at range. He's gonna use his body kicks. He has a nice little sneaky uppercut combo that he throws a lot. But even with that, like he doesn't push the action a ton, or he just like I said he's comfortable at bay.
No, yeah,
You get to
where Vic succeeds best, and I think uh, uh, this was best highlighted in, like one of his tough fights, like his very first one in the house, is when you try to close distance on him, and he just explodes, or not explodes, but like he hurts you, like
right.
in the house, some guy tried to take him down. It was Darren Cruikshank. And Cruikshank was, I guess, like 4 or 5 feet out, and he tries to hit a double leg, and Vic just hits him with a flying knee, and he just collapsed, and the fight's over. Like that's how Vic gets the stoppages. Like that's how he beat Joe Duffy. Like Duffy tried to get inside, and
He get a nasty uppercut for his his troubles.
exactly. But the problem is when you have somebody like Gaethje who can just overload your senses. Like, what do you do? There's nothing to pick. There's nothing to pick at. You have to create those opportunities yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's just not Vic's forte. And to be honest, between the weight cut and just how fucking tall he is, I don't think his chin is built for this division.
Yes. Props to Gaethje. Like I think this is the first time we can say in the Gaethje fight, like he didn't really take a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, like
Like-
if he wanted to, he could probably run out back in like November, December, and get another fight in.
Yeah, he good on him. The first time I think this is the first Gaethje fight I've ever seen where he like just didn't. Well, maybe not ever, but the first one in a while where he didn't leave with his face half hanging off.
Like the Brian Foster fight, I think, was like the last time back in 2016 where he beat him with leg kicks.
Yeah. So good on Gaethje, man. Good on Gaethje. But that right hand was a bomb of a KO. So if you guys didn't see that, definitely go back and watch that fight. I mean, it only lasted a little more than a minute, so it's not even a ton to watch, and you'll know when it's over. You will definitely know when it's over. But yeah, awesome main event. Capped off a night that was pretty violent, and it just ended in such a violent fashion. I think that was just a fitting way the night ended, and I appreciated it ending like that because I was really tired when this main event came around.
13 fight card, bro.
Yeah. I was ready to go to sleep. So I appreciate Gaethje for ending this quick, and he let me get my sleep time in. So, but that was the main event. On to the co-main event of the evening: Michael Johnson, Andre Fili. Of course, this is Johnson's second fight, coming down from lightweight, coming to featherweight. Really close fight. I remember the first round being really. This was one of those fights where like you know whoever loses is really just gonna feel some kind of way because it's like both dudes had moments, both guys landed good shots, but nobody really. There wasn't like a definitive like, oh, he rocked him, oh, he, there weren't too many of those moments.
Like
so
the closest was Fili getting to Johnson's back in the second round and almost rear naked choking him.
Right.
And even then, it wasn't that deep.
Yeah. Like, he had the rear naked choke attempt. Johnson did good. He landed that left hand a really good number of times. But, like, it was a pretty even fight. I think I scored it for Johnson, but, like, if somebody said they thought Fili won, I'm not going to be angry because, like I said, it was one of those just really close.
Like, how do you pick them fights?
Yeah. It was just kind of one of those. Like, it just kind of depends on what you judge on. Like, I think Fili had just like the more diverse game plan because he was mixing in the takedowns a bit more. But like I said, Johnson caught him with that left hand a pretty good number of times. I thought towards the latter of the fight he was doing better on the feet. So it's kind of like what do you weigh out more? But yeah, I don't really have a ton to like talk about that fight, but. It was really close and a good showing from both. I think, like I said, there wasn't any super crazy moments, but it was a solid showing for both. Obviously, good for Johnson finally getting his win at 45 after him doing great in the Elkins fight for
5 minutes.
Yeah, and that fight took a turn for the worse.
Like instantly too. That's how crazy it was. Like
yeah, and when Fili put in the rear naked choke, I was like, oh boy. Yeah, we're doing this again, but
you know what that's called? Growth.
Right. Yeah, something. Well, yeah. He obviously learned from the Elkins fight. So, but good showing from Fili though. Like I feel like he's come a good ways since we've been watching him like over the years.
Yeah. Like, why is Johnson cutting to 145? Because. All respect to Fili, it's like Fili's like a borderline top 15 dude, and Johnson just barely beat him. And then you have Fili out wrestling him for a little bit, and like, don't get me wrong, Fili's been getting way better at the wrestling, especially defensively, but he's not Chad Mendes or Frankie Edgar or one of these dudes who can really do it in the top 10. It's not Darren Elkins. So, like, what's the benefit for draining yourself that much?
Well, according to him, or at least according to commentary, like he didn't have. They said his first fight at 45. He said he started to cut weight too early because he was nervous that he just wouldn't make it. But like he figured out the diet. He figured out like his body could handle the weight cut at the last minute. So I guess he's like really comfortable with it now. But I don't know. Johnson's just in his career is just kind of weird because it's like he's a really talented fighter. We've seen him put on really good performances, but they're just a lot of times he just doesn't come up on the right end of the.
It's because he like to me like, it looks like to me like Johnson always has like one idea in his head about what he wants to do in the cage, and then when it doesn't work, like he just like completely loses his mind. Like in the Khabib fight, he touches Khabib a couple times, and he's like, okay, what I'm doing is working. Not only am I'm gonna just do it harder so I can get him out, and then all of a sudden like he commits to a punch, or he overcommits, and Khabib is able to get his hips and takes him down with ease. And then he proceeds to spend the rest of the round on his back, just getting his ass beat. And then he comes out and he's just like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like all of Johnson's problems are baked into like one baked in his game plan, but two like mental. Like he doesn't have when guys aren't scared off by the left hand. Like he doesn't really have a backup plan.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like his problem was never size. Like he almost beat Nate Diaz. Like he literally won half that fight. If you go back and watch it, like he starts losing literally at the 2:30 mark in the second round.
Yeah, I'll say to his credit also. A lot of times he doesn't come out on the right end, but he's always fighting like top guys. Like that's a product of being a lightweight. Like everybody he fights is gonna be tough, but if you look at his record, regardless of wins or losses, he's always in there with the Wolves. And
absolutely.
Yeah, he swims with them, but it always feels like there's something missing. Like there's like one piece missing that he just needs to put together, to like really get it going. But I mean, he eked it out this time. You know, a win is a win. I'm not sure like what he does after this or how he'll fare against the rest of the competition at featherweight, because I mean, somewhat in a similar vein to lightweight, maybe not as deep, but there's still killers everywhere. Like it doesn't the road doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
So
if I know they want to keep him for that Moscow card, but if they want to just move him to New York or 229 or whatever, I'd love to see Johnson versus Magomed Sharapov.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
let it happen. Let it happen.
Yeah, what they might do is have Johnson versus Volkanovski, which would be just completely a complete dick move.
Yeah, that's that's one of those fights they give you when you piss somebody off in the office. They're like, yeah,
that's like what they did to Turnakis.
Yeah, I got something for this guy. That's a hitman fight. That is a hitman fight. You were marked as a target, and they sent somebody after you to get you out of here. But I mean, hey man, one on one at featherweight. So obviously something's working. I don't know. Maybe he'll look better next time. Not that he looked bad this fight.
No, it was a solid performance.
Yeah, it was a solid performance.
But like he's not coming down and just like wrecking shop.
Right. So it's just I don't know. But we'll see. I think all these questions can only be answered. Just we'll see how he looks next time out. Maybe he puts more things together. But either way, solid performance for him. So shout outs to Michael Johnson. This next fight is in somewhat of a similar vein, kind of, sort of. Courtney Casey, Angela Hill. Another really, really close fight. Though I'll say in this fight, I think in comparison to Johnson and Philly, I think this one to me was a bit more exciting. I think both of them landed, both had their moments of landing some clean shots. I'll admit my biases. I thought Angela Hill won, but I'm also an Angela Hill fan, so you take that for what it's worth. I'm not mad at Courtney Casey winning. Like it definitely was a close fight, though I do definitely disagree with the judge who gave Casey a 30-27. I don't think she won every single round, but they both did a lot of things I thought that were awesome. I mean, one for Angela Hill, just if you've been watching her like from the beginning, like pre-UFC days, it's good to see that her takedown defense is improved. Like she's a bit more competent on the ground now. Like she got taken down and she was able to get back up. She even went for an armbar at one point. So that was awesome just to see that kind of evolution in her game. I liked a lot of the combinations she was throwing and ended them with leg kicks. But Casey was firing back with her own combinations. I like how she was going. She would start like body head. She was they were both getting pretty creative out there with combinations. You jabs, hooks, crosses. Angela Hill had a moment where she threw like an overhand right and like switched it to an elbow at the last second, and then caught Casey with that. That was awesome. Yeah, this was just a really good back and forth. Basically a kickboxing match, well, mixed in with Casey did shoot a few takedowns, but Hill was able to get back up. But yeah, man, this was a really, really good, really good fight. Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna protest the win, even though I thought Hill won, but I'm not gonna scream bloody murder because it definitely was close. They both had their moments. They both caught each other with really good shots. So, and for Casey, like she's been on the bad end of split decisions lately. So, you know, good on her, I guess, for kind of getting that off her back. That's got to be a feel good win. But yeah, this was an awesome fight. This was a really fun fight to watch.
Yeah. So one of my big problems, I guess, with Hill has been like more than anybody else. She's really kind of fallen into that alliance backslash everybody has to be Dominic Cruz style, where like she's light on her feet. It's all about touching and switching and trying to be as quick as possible and bouncy as possible without actually like planting your feet and trying to stun her opponents. And she has pop. Like, and we saw it here. Like, there was a couple times where she landed punches where it was like, yeah, that obviously hurt. That obviously has some sting to it. And I think she's actually starting to get a better hang of like when to be bouncy and when to like plant her feet and throw. And I'm kind of curious if that's because of like Casey's size advantage here. Because Casey's a big ass strawweight. Like, it would not surprise me. She could go up to flyweight and probably not bat an eyelash. But I'm curious if her game plan called for her to stand a little bit more in front of Casey and just plant and throw to keep her off her. Because I think she fought this fight as well as she could, in theory. Obviously there's probably some moments she could have ducked a punch here, followed the takedown here, because she got a takedown in the first round. She just didn't follow it to the ground. She caught a Casey kick and just kind of tripped her down. But there were moments where I was like, okay, this looks like the Angela Hill that is going to be like a factor in this division. But like, I think Casey was just like a poor matchup in terms of just like size and strength. Because again, she is huge, and Angela Hill is not a big 115-pounder. Like, she's kind of tall, but she's really lean if you look at her.
Yeah, I mean Casey's she's pretty sturdy.
Yeah, no, Casey's built like a flyweight. So I think this was like one of those things where it just came down to like size. Like, Casey's long, her punches carry farther. So even if Hill's like trying to move out of distance, like she's just there. She's there longer to be hit than the other way around.
Yeah.
This is a really good fight though. Like, if it wasn't for at the beginning of the night, Corey Sandhagen and Alcantara, this would be fight of the night.
Yeah, because this was definitely one of the most competitive fights. Like, they went back and forth the entire fight. Like, it was really awesome to watch. But yeah, Courtney Casey got that split decision. So good on her. But yeah, that was definitely one to go back and watch if you guys missed it. Lord, now on to a fight that I just kind of don't. Brian Barberena and then Jake Ellenberger.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Actually, side note. So during the fight, like, they called out. They kept repeating that Brian Barberena is a power puncher. When did that happen? Like, I know he knocked out like Joe Ellenberger, and I know he knocked out like Joe Proctor. But like, I don't see Brian Barberena and think power puncher. I think Brian Barberena and I think guy who throws like 50 punches every time he throws. And yeah, he knocked out Jake Ellenberger here, but I mean, it's Jake Ellenberger in 2018, who's lost like 9 of his last 12 fights, 7 by finish, I should say.
Yeah, this goes in the line of those fights that it's like I just didn't really need to. We didn't need to see this.
We really didn't.
Like, yeah, this didn't need to be a thing. But I mean, not to undersell, but Brian Barberena did what he needed to do. He caught Ellenberger with a nice little flurry and got him out of there. But you know,
Can't be asking for more than your job, bro.
yeah. But I mean, I'm glad Jake finally did decide to hang it up. I think it was a few fights late, but you know, it is what it is. But I mean, Jake is one of those guys, man. He's been around the sport for a long time. He's fought, you know, he's fought a who's who pretty much of the UFC. He managed to just stick around and keep himself relevant. Like I said, maybe a bit too long, but you know, he's definitely put on some really good performances. He sent his fair share of people to the afterlife. if you go and watch a lot of his old fights. I mean, like literally at one point, man, this guy was in like that title contention talk. Like around that time when he got Jake Shields out of here, like he had a nice little streak going for himself.
I will say he should have got that. Like that year that GSP took off because of the injury, really fucked over a lot of people.
Yeah.
Ellenberger
was
one of those guys. Like he should have got a title shot.
Yeah, because and like for guys, if you haven't, like, you know, maybe you might be a bit newer to watching, maybe you haven't like followed Ellenberger's career. Go back and watch a lot of his old fights. Like there was a point where he had a really good string going, and he was getting guys out of there, man. Like he was a strong wrestler, a strong everything. Like dude, he was getting dudes out of here, and he was definitely in that conversation of title contenders, and it just, you know, kind of just didn't work out. And then
like before the Campman loss, like he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a 6-fight winning streak, and he had wins over like Jake Shields and Mike Pyle and, you know, Doomsday and Diego Sanchez when that meant something. Like dude was on a run.
I think what happened to him I feel like the game caught up to him. Like he started fighting that next generation of dudes that were coming up. You know, the Rorys of the world and the Gaslams and, you know, these new guys, that new breed that was coming around at that time. Like, you know, yeah. They just had a lot. They were a lot to deal with.
And then and probably the wear and tear. This dude had 40 fights by the time he was 30. Like that probably did not help either.
Yeah, he is a veteran in every sense of the word. But nah, man, I'm glad he retired. Definitely best of luck to him, and you know, anything he does in the future. And please, Jake, don't be one of these guys. Don't get that offer from Bellator or wherever else.
That offer from ACB.
Right. Just don't take it, man. Just don't take it. Just go chill out, man. Go be with your family. You know, help other fighters in the gym. I'm pretty sure a guy who has that many fights, he's got plenty of knowledge to bestow. So, you know, you can definitely hang around the sport. Just please don't let anybody get you back in there, man. Just
so you're saying he should go kickbox?
Jake Ellenberger in glory.
Like he just becomes like the middleweight tournament champion again.
God.
I mean, Kamosi could do it.
Yeah. We'll see though. But props to Brian Barberena, man. He went in there. He did what he had to do. He got him out there. He beat the hometown kid. So props to Barberena. Next fight, man.
This was the one I was most looking forward to be honest.
Whew, this finish was so violent. Deiveson Figueiredo and John Moraga. Man, oh man.
Yo, I've been saying Figueiredo is really good.
Yeah, this guy, man. I mean, Moraga did good. He did decent in the first round.
For like 10 seconds.
He caught that nice little step in little step in jab. He kind of shook Figueiredo with was good, but man, after that, man, like Figueiredo is just so strong for this division. Like when he was taking Moraga down and just kind of controlling him, you just look at him. It's like, dude, this guy is just he looks just crazy strong to be a flyweight. And
yeah, no, he is fucking really
like,
dude, like I look at all the people who have fought Moraga, and the only one who's finished them in the UFC is DJ. Like the Dotson fight was a doctor stoppage on the cut, I believe, and the way he finished him too, just
yeah, ooh, like I don't even remember how all that blood got on his face. Was that the ground and pound?
Yeah, yeah. No, like he landed a couple like short elbows on the ground, and it just cut his face. It just cut Moraga's face open.
Yeah, I mean, and props to Moraga for like he was trying his hardest to stay like in this fight, like because he ate an elbow, and then he ate like that right that kind of snuck through and dropped him, and then. He tried to stay up, man. He was trying his hardest.
Moraga is a scrapper through and through.
Yeah, he was trying really hard to just stay in this fight, and man, Figueiredo was just dropping bombs on him, and then the body shot that just took him out, man. Like it just crumpled him, and he ate a couple punches after that, and it was over.
The uppercut that they called the fight on that the second knockdown, the second round, just like Moraga like face plants.
Yeah, it was. Whew.
Dude,
that's Deiveson. That's a scary dude.
Like, yeah, hardest puncher at 125. It's not like the John Dotson thing where he's like throwing his whole body into it. Like he's literally just, oh shit. Well, I guess I'll come back to this. It's not like the John Dotson thing where he's literally like leaping into it. It's just like he's planting his feet and throwing, and it just kills people.
Yeah. How tall is he?
He's an inch shorter than Moraga. I know that.
Dude just seems like a titan at featherweight. I mean, at flyweight. Yeah, I'm definitely, because he's what's his record now?
15-0.
Yeah, I want to see what. You got to give him like a marquee matchup next, man. Like getting Moraga out in the fashion that he did. That's not an easy task. Like I said, Moraga's a scrapper through and through. If you can finish Moraga in that fashion, I think that proves a pretty big point. Give him a top guy, man. I think just throw him in there. Let's see what he can do. I think a lot of people will have trouble with that. Just that just power that he has, man. Dude is just really strong. He can throw. If he gets you down, good luck, because he's so big. I'm not sure how. It's going to take some skill to get back to your feet.
Right.
He's a problem. He is a problem. So yeah.
So currently the flyweights above Moraga are booked. So you got Pettis, who's fighting for Miga. You got Benavidez, who's fighting Borg. So the guy underneath Moraga is Wilson Hayes. And then the guy underneath that is Alexander Pantoja. And I don't think they're going to do a Brazilian versus Brazilian fight. So what do you say to Figueiredo versus Ortiz.
I mean,
Dustin Ortiz is out here finishing dudes nowadays, so.
yeah. I mean, like you said, the availability is obviously an issue. So, I mean, in the Ortiz fight, it's not a bad fight. Like, I think a win over Ortiz is still a solid win to have on the resume. Yeah, I'm all for it. Ortiz has been pretty decent as of late. So, you know, if everybody else is booked, throw together the two guys who aren't. So, and then just, you know, whatever happens. So I'm definitely not mad at that. And if they were to do that, he beats Ortiz, and then, you know, other people's schedules start freeing up a bit. Let's get him in there with some top dudes. Give him the
winner of Borg Benavidez or Formiga, whatever. Because who knows what that title picture looks like right now.
Yeah. See, he's definitely inserted himself in that conversation along with like the Pettises and the Benavidez. Like he's putting himself up there with performances like this.
This division is starting to fill up. Well, it might not starting. Like some of these dudes are just starting to stand out.
Yeah, slowly, it's getting there. It took a while, but it's slowly moving along. So shout out to Deiveson, and he finished it. You know, a lot of people complain about flyweights not getting finishes, and he got Moraga out of there. So yeah, man, definitely keep Deiveson Figueiredo on the radar. Definitely somebody to keep an eye out for, because he's probably gonna be making some waves soon. And to round out the main card, we had Eric Anders versus Tim Williams. I had no idea who Tim Williams was before this card.
The Jersey Strangler, bro. How dare you? Tim Williams has been in like multiple seasons of Tough. Like, I think he got hurt one year and just couldn't compete in the house, and then they invited him back. But yeah, I can't blame you for not knowing him, I guess.
But I mean, he was. I think he was statistically the biggest underdog, right?
Yes.
I want to say. I mean, not a bad showing. I mean, things were going pretty good for him in the first round.
And then shit fell apart.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Anders in that first round. Like, he just looked like he wasn't really trying to pull the trigger.
He looked like he was still fighting Leo Machida.
Right. It was really weird. It was like when you try to start up your car and it's just like kirk, and it just kind of like it don't.
Like it almost gets there, but not quite.
Right, but it's not. It's like when your battery dies. You get that click, but it's not moving. And Tim was getting off on him, man. He was landing some good strikes. I think he took him down a couple times, and he had me nervous. I was like, Anders, man, you don't let this guy come in here and just kind of bully you around like this.
I was like, dude, is this what Alabama strength and conditioning does to you? Because
right,
he like so. From the second round on, whenever like Williams would go for a takedown and would actually like, get to Anders' hips, Anders looked like a fucking wrestler, like a D1 wrestler. Like he pushed the head down, like his hips would fly back instantly.
Yeah, there was a shot. I don't remember if it was the second or third. Tim shot like the perfect like level change, and Anders just like no.
Yeah, he was just like fuck that. But like, but when it came to actually like throwing punches and like moving around the cage, like he had that like my favorite upper weight trope. Like I have a fucking rod up my spine. I look completely unflexible. Like he had like it's that thing you do like in your first like boxing class when like okay I don't know how to throw punches, so I'm gonna just keep my back as straight as possible, and like it makes you look all rigid and stuff, and it looked like it slowed him down because like he had trouble pulling the trigger, and he was biting on like every time Williams would feint, he would bite on it and Williams would get away. And that's how he ended up losing the first round. And then the second round, I guess his coach just slapped him and told him just get to work. Because he instantly went out and knocked Williams down.
Right. Like, the hands finally started flying.
Dude, literally, the very first time he hits Williams' entire face erupts into like a pool of blood.
Yeah, it was. He looked like a brand new person. Like, he just needed the first round to get beat up so he could just wake up. And then, yeah, he definitely got to work, man. He was catching. I mean, Williams was still trying to keep it competitive, but you could tell Anders was starting to put the pressure on him. He was catching him with some good shots. But that finish, that finish,
Gorgeous.
yeah, that was so well timed.
That's what Walt Harris wish he did.
Right. That was the perfect timing for that kick. Like, and it definitely was. Like, he definitely caught. Williams definitely got caught slipping, because that was kind of like a.
That was kind of like, why was he trying to get up with Anders literally standing right in front of him?
Yeah, it was one of those get-ups. Like, it was kind of sloppy looking, and it was like, yeah, I don't know if this was a good.
It wasn't just sloppy. It was just like he was literally right underneath Anders. Like, you're supposed to scoot back before you try to stand up from a situation like that.
Right, you got to create a little bit of space.
Right.
Because, like, even had he not kicked him, he could have easily rushed in and
just clapped him.
Just collapsed on you, kept you down. But he got that kick off like just as Williams' hand was leaving the mat. Actually, for a second, I thought the kick was so hard that it just lifted his hand off the mat. He blasted Williams with that soccer kick. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, that was. After that first round that Anders had, that was an amazing way to finish that fight. Like, things just were not going for you well in the first round, and he completely turned it around.
That's how you get people to forget.
Yeah.
You don't show them no scorecards.
Right.
Mind you, this came with like 18 seconds left in the fight.
Yep. This was, if Wikipedia is correct, for 4 minutes and 42 seconds. So that round was about to be all but over. And he made sure it was over in emphatic fashion. But, I mean, for Williams, not a bad showing. You know, that's a tough dude to fight in your debut. You're on the main card. I mean, you won a round, so you obviously had something working good for you.
I want to say he took this fight in like a week's notice or something. Something crazy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so, you know, circumstances considered, you know, you can hang your hat on that if you want to have some kind of, you know, moral victory.
No moral victories in the octagon, man. Did you not hear Paul Felder?
They don't show up on the stat sheet, but, you know, if you want to draw some kind of silver lining, you know, you can hang your hat on that. But yeah, good for Anders though, man. That's a very memorable. It's a nice little highlight reel to have. That is a fantastic highlight to have. But yeah, man, that was an awesome fight. Good. That was a great way to kick off the main card. Just continue the night of violence. Just a lot of people just did not make it out of this card alive.
Speaking of.
Yeah, speaking of, the prelim headliner, James Krause, Warley Alves. I'll say before I even break down the fight, I'm really glad to just hear more stories of fighters who are coming to the realization that cutting 80 pounds, I mean, I'm probably exaggerating, I don't know if that's how much he cuts, but you guys get the point. Of just cutting these absurd amounts of weight to try to make a weight class that you just probably don't belong in. Like, go up and fight where your body's most comfortable, where you're not killing yourself the day before weigh-ins and falling over and all that crazy stuff. Like, he's up at 170. He looked pretty comfortable. It's kind of crazy, even though essentially in this fight it was a lightweight, lightweight fighting a former middleweight. But no, man, Krause looked pretty good, man. Not like a ton of power shots, but just like good volume. A lot of stance switching. He was switching from orthodox to southpaw like every other like punch. So I thought that worked well for him. It was wild though because Krause had a really good first round, and in that second, Warley Alves kind of looked like he was pissed, and he just came out with this really violent flurry to start the second. But Krause found his way out of that. just really good at picking his shots. Like I said, just good volume, good use of picking his shots, good
Body work.
just body work, switching stances. He gave Alves, I think, just a lot to think about. And then he catches Alves with his knee that just
It wasn't quite like a flying knee so much. It was like a hop knee.
yeah. And it just in real time I didn't even really see what happened because he kind of like pumped the jab out first and then just let the knee fly up and Alves just caught it right on the chin. And he hit one of those step backs that you kind of knew like, ooh, that's not good. And then he ate some combinations on the cage, and he probably would have fell over had there not been a cage to hold him up, because he was just kind of eating punches. So I wasn't mad at the stoppage because he was just getting wailed on. But not really good performance from Kraus though, man. Like just very diverse, a lot of diversity in the striking. Like I said, a lot of stand switching, and then just that really sneaky knee he just threw up there, and Alves just caught it on the chin, and that was the beginning and end of that fight. But good on Kraus, man. That was a really, really good performance.
Yeah, freaking like he just had Alves flustered with like the reach, which is weird because like you said, Alves is like a former middleweight. I'm not even, I don't think this is like the first time he's fought a long dude. I could be wrong, but like he was legit just swinging at air at certain points, like as hard as he could too. And Kraus was like taking like half steps to get out of the way, or sometimes he wasn't even moving. Sometimes it was just like he threw it. He would try to counter a jab and just come up short. I'm happy. This is just more proof that you don't need to cut like 50,000 pounds to be competitive at a higher division. Because like Alves is a dude who has a win over the current or former interim welterweight champion, and Kraus went out there and picked him apart. Who was Kraus's first opponent at welterweight? Because I think this is second.
It was.
No, this was his first fight.
Alex White?
No, Alex White, that was lightweight.
Oh.
So I guess this is his first fight at welterweight in the UFC. Or at least since he returned. Like, just really, like, there's nothing really else to say. Like, just a really all-around solid performance. Oh, I'm thinking of the Jesse Taylor fight. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. Yeah, no, like, I'm really happy. Just
that's 5 in a row now.
5 in a row. Like I'm sad because Alves seemed to like have finally had like hit his like, oh, I know how to fight for 3 rounds. Like I know how to fight more than 5 minutes. Like trip, and like recently he seemed to be getting better in that facet. But well, what you gonna do? Somebody's gotta lose. So props to Kraus for realizing that 155 is dumb for him.
Yeah, so other guys take notes, man. Stop killing yourself to fight in these divisions where you just probably don't belong. So I hope that wave continues. On to the next fight, which is, man, yeah, this, like you said, if it wasn't for this fight, Casey and Angela Hill probably would have got fight of the night. But this might be one of the craziest fights you'll see all year.
If it wasn't for freaking Whitaker versus Romero, the first round of this fight might be the fight of the year, or round of the year, I should say.
Yeah, this was. I don't even know how to describe it, but Corey Sandhagen and Yuri Alcantara.
Corey Sandhagen is just built different.
Yeah, I luckily I got a chance to watch Sandhagen when he was in the LFA, and he was crazy back then, and not a lot has changed. He's still just a wild dude. Is crazy tough. Really, always puts on a fun fight. Yeah, man, this fight was wild. Like, and they wasted, like, literally, they wasted no time. Like, this fight just started with violence. Alcantara just came out like a man on a mission. he was looking to kill. he comes out with a flurry. He's got Sandhagen hurt against the cage. Then he just like throws him to the ground, goes into like a armbar / arm lock. Sandhagen's arm and elbow bends in all kinds of angles that limbs are just not meant to go in. I don't know how he got out of that, but like his body was just contorting in ways that just were not natural. And then on top of his elbow just being bent all out of whack, like Alcantara was catching him with hammer. Like he had his arm like locked with the right hand, and then with his left hand that was free, Alcantara is just raining down hammer fist. Sandhagen's face is just all bloodied up. It's looking real bad for him. Somehow Sandhagen gets out of this arm lock, twisting his body all kinds of ways. He finds his way out. He ends up on top. He catches Alcantara with some very hellacious and just violent ground and pound, just elbows and punches. He hit Alcantara so hard that his mouthpiece flew out. It was looking really bad, man. Like it looked like he was about to get Alcantara out in the first, but Alcantara somehow survived that just onslaught of ground and pound. And then the second round happened. And then this is where, like, for me, the fight, like, this fight for me went from, oh my God, this is the craziest thing that I've ever seen, to now I'm uncomfortable watching this. So the second half of this fight kind of went the way the second half of the first round did with, I can't remember how they got to the ground. Like, oh, no. They had like a,
the crowd.
Yeah, like, he rocked him, and then, like, unless I'm confusing it with another fight, Alcantara, he tried, like, a standing elbow, and, like, I don't know if it was partially because he was still stunned, but he went for, like, an elbow, and he just kind of fell over. I don't know if, like, he tripped over himself, or he still just wasn't all the way there, but either way, he's on the ground. It's not looking good, but my God, he ate so many unanswered shots, like, and clearly he just wasn't, it wasn't like the first round where, like, he was damaged, but he was still, like, trying to move out the way a little bit. In the second round, he was just kind of turtled up. Like, he was clearly rocked. He was clearly hurt. He ate a lot, and I emphasize a lot of unanswered shots, and he's literally just turtled up. And he ate a lot of unnecessary punishment, I thought. Like, this fight could have been stopped way, way, way earlier. This fight
should probably have never left the first round.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't have. But, I mean, I get it. They let him, I guess maybe they gave him benefit of the doubt. But, yeah, man, like, that, he did not need to take as many shots as he did. And it was funny because I was watching, I think after this fight they had cut to Jimmy Smith and them, and Jimmy Smith was throwing shots at the ref. He threw some Yamasaki references in there, but yeah, man, like Alcantara did not need to take that many shots. So I don't know, it kind of took away something from the fight for me. Cause like that didn't need to end that late. But like either way, one of the craziest fights you'll watch this year. Just watch Sandhagen anytime he fights, man. Like, if you watch him in LFA, like, all of his fights are fun. Dude, he's always there for a scrap. He's just one of those guys that when he's on the screen, you know something fun's going to happen. He's never in a boring fight.
He's not just, like, he's actually he's actually good. Like, capital A, capital C, capital A, capital G, actually good. Like, dude, that, like, he has a really unique, fun style of fighting that's kind of like a mix between like Max Holloway and like TJ Dillashaw, from what I remember from his first fight. So like dude is fun and apparently tough as shit. Like that was the deepest armbar I've seen somebody get out of since like Jacare Roger Gracie, where like Roger just broke freaking Jacare's arm and Jacare tucked it into his belt to keep going.
Hey, man. He said in the post-fight, I came in, there was no way I was losing this fight. So you guys had to kill me to get me out of here. And, hey, man, he kept true to his word.
this fight probably could have been stopped like 3 different times in the first round alone. Like, what do you think? Do you stop the fight when you see a man's arm pop? Because the thing is, I know in the post fight he said his arm did pop, but like looking back at it, it was more like what you call it? Would be a Kimura? Yeah, it was more like an Americana, like the L lock. When is there like a Americana or like a Kimura? Like when he has the arm bar and you see it like flexing.
Yeah.
Like the way it's bent, it's not going up into the elbow. It's going like, oh, I'm turning more than I am actually like pushing your elbow up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I see why the ref didn't stop it because the elbow's not actually popping. Like I would have been cool if he did stop it because some guys just don't know their limit. Like.
Yeah, that could have went the other way. Like he could have left with no. That arm could have got just yanked off. Yeah, but I guess it's kind of hard to say. Like, I mean, we've seen some situation before, like where it looks bad, but
it wasn't really as bad as we thought.
Yeah, and I could see if he was like screaming in pain, then yeah, I could see a stoppage. But hey, man,
Tap or snap.
if he's still alive, I guess it is what it is. But nah, that was crazy. That was wild. That's one of the wildest things I've ever seen.
That should be on everybody's of the year list at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's definitely up there. Very, very high up there too. So, but really, shout outs to both gentlemen because they both had their moments. Sandhagen just had more of them. But, like, just wild fight, man. Just really, really wild fight.
Yeah, Alcantara tough as shit because he ate, like, a solid 5 minutes of just getting his ass beat at the end of the fight.
Yeah, he's...
Like,
yeah, man.
Poo on his corner, but, like, dude is tough. Like, if that's my guy, I'm not sending him back out there for the second round. I don't care how close to winning he was in the first.
But... I felt bad for Alcantara. They always throw like the young guys at him.
I mean, that's just because he's an old man in a young man's division.
They always send the young bucks at him.
He's 38. Like, everybody's young.
Yeah.
I mean, who like, from his generation?
Yeah, Bantamweight.
From his generation?
I would say Bantamweight doesn't have like the old dads.
Yeah, dude, they all got beat out the division. Like, who from, like, Brad Pickett, Uriah Faber, Scott Jorgensen, like they're all gone, and they've all been gone for like a minute now.
Yeah,
like he's
the last of a generation.
Yeah, there's a dude who was like, I'm not even like he was fighting WEC, like he fought at the last WEC show or something. Was it the last one? 53. Yeah, he fought the last WEC show, like, and that was 7 years ago. 8 years ago. So he's been around for a minute. He's been old for a minute.
He has been old. He has been old for a minute. But he's still mixing it up, man. Like he still goes out there and
oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like there are probably like a lot of, like there's a reason like a lot of his contemporaries aren't around and he still is.
Yeah.
So.
And I still think a win over him still, it's still a good win. Like because he's not an easy out. He's not an easy out in this fight.
Oh yeah, like just look at the dudes who beat him. Like it's Jimmy Rivera, it's Brian Kelleher, it's Alejandro Perez, it's Frankie Saenz, and Uriah Faber at bantamweight. Like that's a pretty solid list of guys. Like if you're gonna lose to anybody, there's no shame in losing those guys.
Yeah. So shout out to Alcantara, but shout out to Sandhagen, man. That's always looking forward to a Sandhagen fight. This guy's he's another one of those guys. He's just cut from a different cloth than the rest of the world. All right, so this next fight, I'm not gonna lie to you. In real time, I barely paid attention to this fight, and I did not rewatch it this morning.
I actually missed the entire first round of this fight. Like I went downstairs real quick. I came back up. and they were like, "Oh, we're starting the second round." I'm like, the first one I didn't even start when I went downstairs, and that was like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know. And
It wasn't a bad. It
Andrew
wasn't a
San-
bad fight from what I remember. Like it,
yeah, like it looked like Andrew Sanchez versus Marcus Perez. From what I remember, it was a pretty fun like back and forth, just kind of slug 'em out kickboxing match. But I don't remember like the finer details.
it was a lot of Sanchez marching Perez down, eating body kicks and kicks to the arm, and then Perez letting Sanchez like uh basically shoe shine him a bit. You know, just like Sanchez would throw like 5 or 6 punches, and Perez would eat like 3 or 4 of them before escaping. It was like that one of those types of fights. Like Perez, so like it's pretty clear that he's a really good talent. Like he's really good kicker, but between all the wild shit he does and the fact that he gives up a lot of space, like he just not built to win rounds. Like if he doesn't stop guys, or if he's not just straight up flat out better than them, like he's probably gonna lose because he just doesn't fight to win rounds. Like everything has to be like a knockout point, like a knockout strike with him.
Well, good on Andrew Sanchez. Like I said, I don't really.
This is probably the most impressive win of Sanchez's career in terms of like, oh, I had to change it up to get back to the top, or to take it to the next level. Like I'm not sure if I consider Sanchez like a prospect in like the traditional sense. Like maybe uh, I expect him to round out his game, become like a solid mid-tier middleweight. And
one of those guys who can just kind of stick around.
yep, like you're Nadal's Talls. I can't even remember his name.
Yeah.
Who is the greatest middleweight of all time?
So, congrats to Andrew Sanchez getting a decision victory. And rounding out the Facebook, well, this was actually what started the Fox Sports 2 prelims. Mickey Gall and George Sullivan. The fight did not last long at all. Literally, the fight was Gall getting a takedown, took Sullivan's back. Sullivan did not fight the hands. He was trying to throw punches. He got choked out.
Yeah. Like big win for Mickey Gall, and he'd be a guy with like 3-4 times as many fights as he has. But at the same time, we didn't learn anything new about him. Like this is basically what he does. He commits enough with the hands, gets somebody to throw, goes for a takedown, takes the back, gets the rear naked choke, and it's over. Yep. So.
And then he proceeds to call out Sage Northcutt and Diego Sanchez.
Don't call out dudes you beat. Let's start there. Never call out somebody you beat. And never call out somebody nobody wants to see fight anymore. Yeah. Or nobody with a heart, I should say.
At least like the Northcutt fight, I just thought like he probably considered that maybe like a money grab because Sage is like the golden child. I guess the Sanchez call out just had me kind of like, yeah, I don't know about that one.
You know what? He should have called out Logan Paul. If he was smart, that's who he would have called out. Because he could have set himself up to be the guy to fight Logan Paul. Because the UFC would do that in a heartbeat if they thought they could.
I actually still have that fight on. I'm glad he said that. I'm gonna keep this fight on. We're gonna talk about this fight after we talk about this card.
If he was smart, he would have called out Logan Paul. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's still time. I think it still happen. Put that on the
ESPN
or ESPN or the Golden Boy. Get that on there. The Fight Pass prelims. These fights were also pretty good and some pretty impressive finishes. Joanne Jojo Calderwood and Kalindra Faria. Man, wasn't looking too good for JoJo. I was kind of hurt. I'm a JoJo fan. She got taken down really quick, and I was like, oh, God, I hope it's not one of these fights where she just gets taken down over and over again, and we don't get to see any fun striking or any of her game, and she just spends the whole fight, trying to get back to her feet. She got taken down. Kalindra did what she was supposed to do, took her down, a little bit of ground and pound, all that good stuff. And right at the very last second, in very Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen-esque fashion, Joanne starts getting a little hold of that wrist. Gets that little brief moment where she can control it. Throws those legs up there for the triangle. I think she had to adjust a couple times to like get it to sink in all the way. And gets the triangle armbar, literally with like 3 seconds left in the round. Yeah, man, it was awesome. Also mentioned this was at flyweight, and I think they had mentioned that definitely a much better division for Calderwood to be in, not having to cut so much weight, not spending training camp just worrying about the weight cut. Like, you can actually focus on your game, focus on proving your skill set, all that good stuff, which definitely seemed to pay off here. Like I said, just last minute triangle armbar with 3 seconds left in the round. And I just like how she really committed to it, man. She, like I said, she had to adjust to get it. She was really trying to lock it in, and she got it in at the very last second.
Yeah.
So as a JoJo fan, I was very happy to see this. This definitely put a smile on my face.
Yeah, no, great work from JoJo. I think she moved from TriStar to Vegas. She's working with Syndicate MMA, and Roxanne Modafferi was in her corner last night. So like really slick jiu-jitsu off her back. Like not a whole lot to say really. Like except now people have something else to worry about when they fight JoJo. But Kalindra Faria she's better than her record. She's better than her record, but she's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she should have beat what's her face in the first fight. Jessica I was it her opponent. Then she goes out there and she bombs versus because she should beat Jessica I. She was beating Calderwood until she wasn't, like, and the Barella fight was just weird. So
it's like the Luke Sanders effect, which we'll get to in a couple moments. Yeah.
But Faria's just. I think Joey said it last night best when he said Faria is the difference between being a really good AAA MMA fighter and being on the regional scene and then being like a low level UFC fighter. Like there's a big gap between the two.
Yeah.
Again, just shouts to Carter because who's not a fan of JoJo? So.
Yeah. So definitely shout out to JoJo, man. That was an awesome win. Glad to see her at flyweight. Hope to see her put on some more fun fights in the future. Next fight, continuing down the list. I didn't rewatch this fight, but I remember a decent amount of it. Drew Dober and John Tuck. All I remember really from this fight is Drew Dober keeps a pace that's just kind of like
how do you beat it?
Right, like it's just like what do you do? Like, dude is in your face. He can hit hard. He's a pretty good striker. He's really strong at lightweight. Like, he is a thick lightweight. Then he was mixing it up with takedowns. Like, he was just like Tuck just didn't have room to breathe. Dober was just man. Dober's just one of those. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's not ranked.
No.
Yeah, like even like he's just one of those dudes that outside of the top 15, he's still like a really, really, really talented, really solid lightweight that on any given night, like it's not gonna be an easy fight for you. Like dude he keeps an insane pace and he literally never slowed down. He was constantly in Tuck's face, landing shots, good kickboxing, mixing it up with takedowns, just everything, man. That dude just really insane pace to keep for 3 rounds, and like I just felt like he just he dragged Tuck into the deep waters. He just kind of drowned him, and he never let him come up to breathe.
Basically, yeah. Like, Tuck just has poor cage awareness. Like, he fights off the back foot lock despite the fact that he wants to kick. Like, that's his entire kickboxing game is just basically him kicking to the body, to the head, whatever. But, like, that only works if you have the energy to do it late into fights. And if you're constantly moving backwards and fighting off takedowns, like, you're not going to be able to do it. So.
Yeah. It's hard knock life.
Yep.
And, yeah, not really much else to. What's Dober's record? How many wins does he have like in a row?
I think he's coming off a loss.
Oh, he's three in a row.
That's 3 in a row. Huh.
Berkman, Camacho, and Tuck. His last loss was to Mercier.
Yeah, so pretty decent run.
Yeah, that's a decent run, and he is just like I said, he's just a really solid dude, man. Like you got to fight with him. It's gonna be a tough night out. So shout out to Dober for just pushing at an insane pace and just making it a really enjoyable fight to watch. And the last fight that we will mention that happened on this card, Ronnie Yaha and Luke Sanders. Low-key, I was really looking forward to this fight. I thought this was a pretty interesting matchup. But, my God, man. Like, I really like Luke Sanders. I always remember the very last card they had before Legacy and RFA, like, combined. So they had, like, their fighters fighting each other.
And he beat the crap out of Terry Ware.
Yeah, man. Luke Sanders gave Terrion Ware the blues, and like you look at the way Sanders fights, like he's not like, it's not like anything he does that's like really crazy, but he's really strong, he's really athletic, he hits hard, he's pretty solid like all around. So I look at his talent, and then you look at his record, and it's like, my God, it just never. This dude can't catch a break, like. He just can. He's another one of the dudes you said like Kalendra. Like you look at his record, or at least like his UFC record, because his overall record is still pretty good. But you look at his UFC career, and it's just like, man, he's winning until he's not. But that wasn't even the case in this fight. Like
he was losing instantly.
Yeah, he was losing until he lost. Yaha caught him with a nice. He flicked a kick out there, and then he followed it with like a right hand that stunned him. He got him up against the cage. He dives in for like a knee bar, and just relentlessly goes for this knee bar. And just there was a moment where I thought Sanders was about to get out of it. Like he twisted around and looked like he was about to drag his foot and stand back up, and Yaha just never let go. And then he ends up getting a heel hook. I think Sanders are verbally tapped. Man. I mean, great on Yaha. Like, he's been out there really handling business. He's one of those guys who kind of gets overlooked. I think partially because of his fighting style.
He is very dull when he does not get the submission.
Yeah. He it's not always the prettiest thing to watch, but it gets him wins, but it's probably not going to win over a lot of fans.
But he's also one of the best submission artists in the history of the UFC.
Right. So it's kind of, and I don't mean to compare him, like, ranking-wise, but I feel like he's going to be one of those guys in the vein of a Sun Sal, of, like, he'll probably win a lot of fights, but he's not going to get like that big one that he probably wants.
Like he is 7-1 in his last 8.
Yeah.
The dude's out here for real.
Yeah, and he's probably not gonna get that big fight, but really awesome heel hook. I just feel bad for Sanders, man. Like, I just want to see him do good, and it just.
Of those 7 wins, he had 5 are by submission, by the way.
I think his only loss was to who?
Not his only loss, but his loss on that run.
Well, like most
was Joe Soto, yeah. And what was one of the most fatiguing fights I've ever seen. Like,
what's he been up to lately?
Soto? He got fired or cut, I should say.
Did he?
Could be wrong.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
He fought in February and got knocked out to Yuri Alcantara.
Ooh.
I'm gonna look at some UFC list of records. I want to know where Yaya is on that submission list. Winning, most wins, finishes, in a title fight, fastest finish, latest finish, knockouts, submissions, most submissions. Most is Hoist, next is Charles Oliveira, next is Nate Diaz and Damian Maia, Frank Mir, Kenny Florian, Joe Lozon, Cole Miller. Yaya's not on the list.
I might be confusing him with somebody else. He was on some submission list, but he was tied with like a bunch of other people. But I could be confusing him with
It might be
else.
active fighters. Because a lot of the, like, Hoist,
yeah, a lot of those guys aren't.
but well, he's got 5 in this run, but he has a couple more, at least one more from, like, let me just, because he doesn't have a lot before that. So he has 6. He has 6 in the UFC. If you go back to WEC, he has 7, 8, 9, 10. He has 10 in the WEC/UFC.
Oh.
Dude's putting in work.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely putting in work. We'll see if maybe he gets a bigger matchup. But man, for Luke Sanders, that just sucks, man. That sucks.
Yeah. That's the business. He's got all the physical gifts to be a top dog. Just for some reason, it just does not coalesce into a solid, tight knit MMA game.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because if this was like 5 years ago, I think he would be like a contender.
Yeah. You look at his. I think he would have been in like a similar vein of like a Faber kind of guy. Like I felt like I could have seen him in somewhat of that mode like 5-6 years ago.
But
that also sucks too because he's like 30.
Too.
Yeah.
Like he's on the older side for these lighter weights. So.
Yeah.
But by the time his game catches up with, like, the rest of the division, if it does, he'll probably be a little too old to make a deep run.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely still rooting for him. I want to see him do well.
I just want to see Becky Lynch at more MMA events. So.
Oh man. But that was the card. UFC Lincoln. It was awesome. Like,
that's fun, yeah.
It went a bit long, I was a little tired. But no, man, like there was a lot of violence on this card. Like I said, a lot of people didn't make it out alive. A lot of good finishes. And for what it didn't have in star power, I think we got a lot of faces we don't see all the time. So like some of these guys were just fun to see them fight. It was good. It was a really good showing overall. Like, if you didn't catch this card, I definitely think it's worth going back to watch. You'll get to see a lot of finishes. And, I mean, the main event capped off the night perfectly. Just with one of the most violent knockouts, the one-punch knockouts you'll probably ever see.
Like, if we're gonna get a random card from the Midwest with just, like, a bunch of guys and gals on it, like, this was a pretty good result. There's fun fights, bunch of finishes. None of these fights felt like they were a drag.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, and we add to people's highlight reels that we care about, like Eric Anders and Deiveson Figueiredo and Joanne Calderwood and Mickey Gall, and so good times.
Yeah, good times. So, yeah, definitely you guys go back and check that out if you haven't. So before we leave, I want to talk about this Logan Paul and KSI fight. That I didn't even know this was a thing until I think you had mentioned it to me like a couple podcasts ago.
I think that was Stokes.
Yeah, one of you two had mentioned it to me because
I knew about Sai's first, like Kasai. I don't know how to say his name. KSI. I knew about his first fight, where he fought some other YouTube dude who was like in the same YouTube group as him, and they beefed, and it was like a rap song, and like it was this whole mess, this convoluted mess, and I remember that did big ass numbers, like because they streamed it on YouTube, and it got like 17 million people viewed it live. I'm like, that's more than any fucking person will view any actual professional fucking fight event this year.
Yeah. See, I didn't even know he had a first fight. I had no. I didn't know who KSI
Well, we talked
was.
about we talked about it in the podcast. Because I remember watching it, I was laughing the entire time.
I'm so old. I don't remember.
I
this.
think me and Stokes talked about it because we watched it.
Yeah, this
one I didn't get around to watching because it was on pay-per-view. Not that it stopped anybody from watching it for free.
I heard there were streams on Twitch, and Twitch didn't even take them down.
Some of those, okay, so just for the optics of this one, it sold 10,000 plus tickets, actual sell. You went and bought a ticket and to go view it live. I don't remember where it was. It might have been Wembley, which would have been a big ass slap in the face if I'm a fucking a British boxer. Because odds are I haven't fought in front of 10,000 people at Wembley. But so they got they sold. They probably had a pretty big gate, close to, if not over, $1 million. But this was it was a streaming pay-per-view, so you paid $10 and you got to watch the stream. And I guess I didn't pay for it, so I wouldn't know. But I guess the interface where you watch the stream came with the counter for how many people were watching it live, and someone reported that during the co-main event, the card had 800,000 people watching it live do the pay-per-view stream, which turns into $8 million profit.
That's crazy.
That's more than to put that into perspective. I'm gonna do the math right now. 250,000 buys times $60. Divide by 2 because half of it goes to the. That's more than the UFC makes for a card that does 250,000 buys, which is most of them nowadays.
So these two YouTubers.
Well, 4 because they had one other YouTube. They had the 2.
Yeah,
his brother fought some other YouTuber, so they made more money between the live gate, sponsorships, all the promo YouTube videos that probably came before and after this, and the pay-per-view, than 95% of pro fighters across boxing and MMA in the past year.
I guess really the only reason I wanted to talk about it, not that I had any vested interest, because I had no idea who I didn't remember who KSI was. I only know of Logan Paul. I've heard his name float around. I know he's a douche. I know about the suicide forest incident. So, yeah, that's just not a good look. But I don't really keep up with these dudes too much. I can't comment much on their personal lives because I'm just kind of don't care.
Dude,
I'm not that invested. But
I'm just looking at the Twitch streams numbers, and apparently it was over 1 million. So illegally, 1.2 million people viewed the fight, and that's not counting the 860,000 people who watched it, who paid $10 for it.
Paid to watch it, and then plus the people in the arena. And I'm watching this fight literally now as we record. This arena is packed. They really sold out a crowd. And the thing is, I can't even be mad at this because take the shenanigans aside. This was actually put together fairly well. They had a legit announcer in Buffer announcing, not commentating, but announcing the fights. I don't remember who was on commentary, but for this to have been a freak show, if you listen to the commentary, they would make you think that this fight was held very significant meaning, and this was for a legit title or something. Production value is solid. Camera work is good. The ring looks good. The lighting, everything about this was actually really professionally done. So it's I almost can't even. In the fight, I mean, obviously it wasn't.
It was a fight between two dudes who trained with pro trainers for a few months.
Yeah. But like it wasn't that bad. Like I'm watching this now. I watched this fight before we started recording. Now I'm just like rewatching it. I mean, obviously, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of just flailing overhand rights. Especially when they started to get gassed, it started to look a little ugly. But like, it wasn't that bad. I'm not saying they do this again. I'm paying for it because I watched it the day after.
I'm going to Twitch.
Right. Which I do have. But it's like, this wasn't that bad. Like, I wonder if this is going to be the new thing. Like, celebs get beef. Let's make money off of it. Let's put together an event. People come out, have a good time, watch their favorite celebrities.
Everybody goes the Uwe Boll route where, like, you criticize his movie and he'll fight you in, like, a ring.
Right.
like you know what this tells me? Like, this is all untraditional media too. Like let's just get to that real quick. Like, this is all new. Like, this is all stuff that YouTube is just trying out, and it tells me that you make a lot of freaking money through fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people, it tells me people are still interested in fighting. You just gotta get people to care.
That, and I think it's interesting that, like, obviously, like I said, I'm not, like, I don't know a ton about, like, Logan Paul and KSI, but I'm going to assume that a lot of the people who watched this and who were invested, like, these were all young people. And, like, if you look at, like, the platform, like, this was on Twitch.
It was on YouTube.
Like, and I mean, like, it was, yeah, on YouTube and Twitch.
So the Paul brothers shot a video for, how to watch the fight, and in it they reference going to your parents and asking them for, like, to buy it for you. Like, these are all kids. Like, these people's audience are all, like, 16 years old.
Right.
Or in some cases, like 12.
12, right. This is stuff like my little brother. Well, I should ask them if they.
Like, I didn't know who KSI was before his first fight. Because
right.
I see, like, MMA Twitter, like, tweeting out, oh my god, this fucking YouTuber has, like, 2 million people watching his fight. I'm like, what? And then I look him up, he has 20 million subscribers.
I just think it says something, and I only want to talk about because I saw so many people who were angry about this on Twitter. Like, a lot of, like, fight fans. Like, oh, this is a disgrace to combat sports. And I'm like, it's not. If I'm being complete, like,
do y'all not know what sport you signed up to watch?
Right. And it's like, I can't even be mad because, like, obviously it has the freak show factor of it, which, all right, whatever. But can you even really criticize that? We see freak fights in the UFC. We see them in Bellator. We can't act. I mean, maybe not to this, not bringing in YouTubers, but, like, you get
at
the
least
point.
they
Like,
fought each other. They didn't try to fight a pro athlete.
Right. So it's like, I can't even be mad because the way this all, like, was set up was actually done, like, this was tasteful.
My only complaint is the WBC made a fucking title for them, and then went to Twitter and like, no, it's an amateur title. I'm like, dude.
No, yeah, you can't do that.
This is worse than when you made the Cinco de Mayo belt. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, give them like a...
Just let them do their thing.
Yeah, or give them like a YouTube belt. I don't know. Like, something that doesn't really hold any weight.
YouTube boxing series.
There you go. But it's just like, I think I was kind of interested in this, not even in the fight aspect, but just like everything that surrounded it in terms of like the media, the coverage of it, the way it was hyped. Like, somehow this crazy young audience found a way to just like capitalize on, because we talk about a lot in not just UFC and combat sports in general, just in terms of like promotion and people not being known and all that good stuff. So it's like, how did this crowd find? How did they get this many people?
They had a built-in crowd.
I just think there's something worth.
Explore it.
If you look underneath all of the shenanigans, there's something worth looking into here of how this got pulled off, because this was a success, regardless of how you might feel about who fought and this being a spectacle. Like, this was a success. So I think there's something worth looking into of how they managed to brand themselves and, I mean, obviously they had followings beforehand, which is definitely a big reason why this was a success. But like, I just think there's something there worth looking into.
Try to capitalize on.
Right. Try to figure out how they managed to get this together. Maybe get some promotional ideas. Maybe start reaching out to different platforms. Because like I said, when you think of watching fights, I don't think YouTube. Well, some promotions are on YouTube, but like the entire Twitch community came out to watch this. There are other markets I think out there to be tapped into that maybe,
Like I'm just happy. Like, it just shows people will watch a fight. Like one of the, I guess you can call it like subcontext narratives that we've seen about like the decline in like pay-per-view buys is that people like just don't care about fighting anymore. And it's just like, that's bullshit. Like, it doesn't matter how advanced or how much our society changes. Like, people just like fighting. Like, they can tell you differently. Like,
but they'll watch.
Yes. Like, I disagree with Dana White on a lot of things. A lot of things. But when he says, if there's a football game on one corner and a fight on the other, which one are you going to go watch? Like, I agree. People are going to go watch the fight.
Yeah. You're watching the World Star.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just really wild how I just think there's something there to be looked at. Like, they pulled this off. It was a success. I'm not sure what the fight purses look like. I'm not sure how much they like individually made
millions
from this, but
all the promo stuff, all the, all that good stuff. They probably made out like bandits.
I think it just proves that you just need, and I'll throw this out there. I'm not saying that because there's always somebody who's going to take it too far and twist up words. I'm not saying that every professional fight promotion needs to have some freak fight or some random just Joe Schmo YouTuber. I'm just saying, like, if you can get enough people to care about something, if you can tug at some emotional chord or just some kind of interest, you can get people to tune in. It also probably helped a lot that this was only $10, which, like, what's $10?
Right.
Like, it's not like a pay-per-view. Like, I'm pretty sure this would not have been as successful if this was like a $60.
I'm kind of curious what the UFC would if they just went all online and just was like, because like I said, this made more than freaking most UFC cards do.
Right.
Like, what if they were to just go to Twitch or go to YouTube and be like, we want to run a $10 pay-per-view?
And that was another thing I've been thinking of, and because I remember this was I'm going on a whole side tangent, but I like where this conversation is going because I think it's worth talking about. Like, I remember back when like the UFC was on like Fuel, and it just seemed like you would have part of the fights on Fuel, part of the fights on Fox. Like, everything was just so spread out. It was really weird. Like, to just you think for a casual fan, like the casual person's attention span, they want to stay in one location to watch something. But you imagine if you were watching like the NBA and the first quarter was on ABC, the second half's on TNT. Like, it's kind of weird. So I feel like the UFC going online would be, or even fight promotions in general, find a central hub where you can just pull people into.
The one thing I think we're kind of like, these aren't like just like guys. Like Logan Paul and Jake Paul and KSI.
Oh no, yeah, they have
like legit baked in followings that are bigger than the MMA audience. Like, do not. I'm not saying like, oh my god, the UFC should go like put Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov on YouTube and sell for $10. They'll make more on on TV pay-per-view and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. My thinking is like, the UFC's audience is aging, like their TV audience anyway. It's the same age as boxing, and we just saw a bunch of boxing fans like throw a fit because they couldn't figure out how to get like ESPN Plus to play on their TVs, so they could watch Manny Pacquiao hobble his way to the ring. So like, it's just if we want the sport to grow, or not grow, but like to be relevant 10 years from now, when like all the, I guess, baby boomer age people who populate the sport are like old and decrepit. Like, you're gonna have to get a bunch of the kids who are now like Jake Paul and like KSI and Logan Paul fans to tune in. Like, if some boxing promoter is smart, like 15 years from now, some kid will be like, some boxing head will be like, Logan Paul versus KSI was what got me into boxing.
But hey, you got to get the crowd in how you get them. Don't matter how you get them in there. Just bring them in. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just think it's, like I said, underneath all of the craziness and
so what we're really
all,
saying is KSI, CM Punk, UFC 230.
I think, like, to be honest, after watching this fight, I think CM Punk versus either of these two would be a decent match. Not like quality wise, but like in terms of them being on the same level. Like, I feel like they're not that far off.
The only advantage they have is they probably have like 20 years on CM Punk, because CM Punk's like a 40-year-old man.
No, that is true. I mean, Logan Paul's jab isn't half bad. It's a decent jab.
And CM Punk has a decent hammer fist off his back.
Right. It all evens out. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, just look past the wildness of it all, and just I think it's, like I said, I'm pretty sure plenty of people will disagree, and you could blame it on just them having these massive followings. But I just think there's something to be said about how this was all put together.
Well, even then, like, that should be a sign if you're a promoter or you're a fighter. If you're a fighter, because there's no promoter out there who's promoting anybody. Let's be real. It's on you to make people care about you. Because when people care about you, they turn out for things like this. And let's be real, there was like, all the promotion for this fight was done on their YouTube channels. Like, they probably did some promoting locally to sell tickets, but like, if on the real, like, this was probably all like, there was probably like zero spent on promotion on their side, or at the very least, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, find an audience that you can build.
That's the moral of the story. Yep. You find an audience and you get them invested. You capitalize on it.
They will come out and support you.
Yeah, you too can be on a stream for $10 and get 800,000 buys and have Michael Buffer announce one of your fights.
Michael Buffer probably made so much money.
It's funny because the fight, I think the fight ended in a majority draw. And I wish I could give credit, but somebody on Twitter posted, like, there are only two people in that entire crowd who knew what a majority draw was, and one of them was Michael Buffer. That was like the best take I saw on this fight. I can't remember who posted that on Twitter, but that gave me a good laugh. But, yeah, man, that's pretty much all for the show. So we'll get into parting shots and shout outs before we get out of here. I will give a shout out for a documentary that I have not watched because I don't have ESPN anymore, because I switched my Sling TV package. Now I have the Fox Sports channels because it makes it easier to watch MMA, but now I can't watch ESPN. But that's neither here nor there. You guys don't need to know my struggle. But ESPN has a 30 for 30 documentary, and actually at the time of this recording, it's actually out already. I think it came out on the 23rd. The documentary is entitled Crossroads, and it follows, I want to say these kids are from North Carolina, and it just kind of follows a group of African American kids who I guess kind of use lacrosse kind of as like their way out, which is I just thought was really interesting because lacrosse is just one of those sports that's kind of like
White people took it.
feels like a yeah.
There's no other way. Like, I didn't know lacrosse was a sport until I got to high school and I went to a Catholic school. For those who don't know, Bergen County is incredibly diverse, but like all the rich white people kind of send all their kids to private schools. So like I didn't know lacrosse was a sport until I was in high school.
Yeah, it's a very niche regional thing too, almost. So I just thought it was cool that lacrosse was getting coverage, and I guess for me, because I've actually like I'm not like super knowledgeable about lacrosse, but I actually knew a lot of kids who played lacrosse when I was younger. So I just thought it was, and that's not a sport that you hear about really people using as. I mean, I'm not gonna say this was meal ticket. Like I don't think any of these kids got like super rich off of playing, but it just kind of like follows their journey and how lacrosse, I guess, was kind of like a catalyst for them to
go to college.
Yeah, to like go to college, make a better life, you know, that whole story. So I just wanted to give that a shout out. One for me, I'm a lacrosse fan, so I just thought it was dope that the sport is getting some kind of publicity. But I think the story as well is really interesting, just in terms of African Americans being involved in lacrosse. Because I think I'd researched I want to say the Syracuse team. I could be completely wrong about this, but it's like a mostly like black lineup, which is just really interesting because you don't hear about a lot of African American kids playing lacrosse. I knew a few coming up, but I know everybody's story isn't similar to mine. So for me, it wasn't unfamiliar, but for a lot of people who just don't follow lacrosse or even know what lacrosse is, I just think it would be really interesting to watch. So I wanted to give that a shout out. I definitely want to hopefully find a way to watch it. I don't have ESPN anymore, but I'll figure out a way around it. But wanted to give that a shout out. So check that out. And 30 for 30 documentaries are always good anyway. Parting shots. What is the gentleman's name? Whoever's in charge of tennis.
The French Open.
Just the
French
Open,
I think.
Yeah, whoever's in charge of the French Open. I have the article pulled up, but I can't find the guy's name. French Tennis Federation president. His name is Bernard Guidicelli. So they're trying to crack down on the dress code, which who cares about dress codes? But they're basically not trying to let Serena wear her cat suit to the French Open, saying stuff like it's going too far, it, you know, disrespects the game.
I'd like to point out that like most of the women who play tennis play in like short skirts, like short skirts that aren't even like thigh high.
Right.
So like I don't get what the problem is with Serena. Like it's medical.
Right, and that was the other thing I was going to bring up. Like, for people who are unaware, the catsuit, I mean, while it's, you know, fashionable, different to look at, it's not just an outfit. Like, she literally wears this to keep, has something to do with, like, her blood circulation, to keep blood clots from flowing, because after she got pregnant, I think she caught a blood clot?
She got into this argument with, like, her doctors, and they almost killed her, because she said she felt like something was coming on. And I think it was a blood clot. It was something along those lines. But like this was a real problem that almost killed her while she was pregnant.
Yeah. So the outfit is literally to help like keep the circulation going so blood clots don't form. So it's not just a fashion statement. Like there's literally a reason she's wearing this. And like if you read in the reasons that they're trying to take it away, like it's stupid. Like none of this makes sense. It's not like the outfit has any bearing on how the match goes or any, like, it's stupid. It's all just stop. But shout outs to Nike for sticking by her. They put out a picture of her in the suit, and the caption was, "You can take the superhero out of her costume, but you can never take away her superpowers." She's just gonna come back to the French Open in a different outfit and give all you guys the blues anyway.
Like,
so.
Real quick, like when the 30 for 30 or whatever the hell it's going to be called by the time she's done comes out on like just how like all these tennis organizations have just been fucking with Serena her entire career. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
For those who don't like follow tennis, and I'm not one of those people who follow tennis. I think you follow tennis way more than I do. Just like this has been like a constant thing throughout her career. Like,
Yeah, like if it's not what she's wearing, like she's been nitpicked for like certain things she said. Like there are certain interviews where you can tell they're like people are trying to test her, and I mean props to her. She's never lost composure ever. Like she's always keeping it. Even with this, she's keeping it classy. Like she hasn't said anything crazy. She's been graceful and with all of the just nonsense they've thrown at her throughout the years. Because this isn't the first time they've just like done something really petty like towards her that's just out of control. And it was also nice to see like other players come to her defense. Andy Roddick, I think he came out in support of her. Billie Jean King came out. Like a lot of people came out in support of her because they all know like this is just like it's just nonsense. Like none of this makes sense. You're making your own sport look bad. Like it makes you guys look like the old guys club, where it's just like
they are the old guys club.
Yeah, it's and not to go into another tangent. It's kind of the same reason why like people don't really like the NFL like that much anymore. Well, I can't say that because the ratings are still, I believe, pretty good. But like it's kind of the same thing about the NFL. It's like the old man's club. It's like you guys aren't. You're so stuck in like the 40s and like it's the world is just passing you by. And y'all are just stuck on this high horse that I don't even know where this comes from. So shout at the French Open for just trying to police her outfit on some nonsense that doesn't make sense. You guys are just stop it. Just stop it. But I hope she comes to the Open and just blows everybody out the water in another outfit. And yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. So shouts to anybody who's trying to police Serena's outfit just with no leg to stand on. Like there's literally no justification for it. But those are my part in shots and shout outs.
All right. First off, rest in peace, Lucy Brown, Australian boxer who during a sparring session just took one a bad hit, lost consciousness, and then later lost her life. I think on the way to or at the hospital. She was a cancer survivor who used boxing to stay healthy. She competed. I think she won a silver medal at the Australian Golden Gloves. It's just terrible. It's just a reminder, like even just a sparring session. You don't need to be in a fight. Just a sparring session. Just like one bad punch and you could lose a lot. So rest in peace, Lucy Brown. Thoughts and prayers with her family. Shouts to Curtis Harper. So boxing seems to go viral every few months for like just weird shit. Like Rod Salko getting knocked out fighting a Mexican dude while wearing a border wall shorts. It was like the last time, and then this time we had this and the Paul KSI fight. But so Curtis Harper was tapped to fight Nigerian heavyweight Efe Ajagba, who's like an Olympian. So I actually posted about this week. I was really excited to see him fight. But apparently he got the contract like last minute, like day of weigh-ins. Like the PBC team really pressured him into signing it. And then when he wanted to see the contract before the fight, they wouldn't show it to him. I guess they didn't give him a copy either. So he was worried that he wasn't going to get paid what So I guess like beforehand it was just like a bunch of verbal verbiage about like, oh, come and fight so and so, we'll give you like $10,000 or whatever. And they just the day of the fight, they were just like the day before, like they held out on the contract until like last minute, forced him to sign it, and then didn't let him see him afterwards. Let him see it afterwards. So he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna show up, and then I'm gonna just leave, and that's what he did. He showed up, the bell rang, and then he stepped out the ring, and then just walked up the ramp and went home.
Not a single punch on the stat
single
sheet.
punch. I'm with it. If they're trying to
See,
bully you, just fuck with them.
Yeah, now that you explained it that way, because I didn't know I knew it was about money, but I didn't know like that was the backstory.
Apparently,
yeah, that's
the rumor was it was a 75% purse cut.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I can't even be mad at that. Yeah, hearing the backstory now, because before I was like, well, you might have screwed yourself out of some future endeavors, but hearing that side of
he probably did. Let's be real, like, I give a ton of shit to the PBC because they are just one giant fucking Ponzi scheme. But like this is, I'm sure there are a lot of promoters who do this. Like you have your golden boy, like you tap the person you want to fight like 2 weeks ahead of time, so that they have to stop doing their cab driver like stick for a little bit. Because it's just a shame. But props to Harper just knowing what he's worth.
Hey man, stick it to the man. I'm always people sticking it to the man. So yeah, it was a funny video to watch though. Like it was like he left, like he forgot the oven was on at the crib, and he just I gotta get out of here. Oh man. So I wonder though, like, does the other fighter get paid?
I mean, that's their boy. He better get paid. Like, is he? No. I don't think he is. I don't know.
I was thinking about him and like the other trainers, because I feel like that's a lot of people who lost out.
I'm sure they pay. I'm sure they got paid because they showed up and the bell rang. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fans probably weren't too happy, but yeah. It's a hard knock life.
I mean, I don't expect anybody to be happy in the moment because, like, you paid to see a fight.
Yeah, you got.
But I get it.
Yeah, if you read about it, that's one of those things you read about. It's like, yeah, I could be mad that I didn't see a fight, but if I was in his shoes, I get it. I get it, you know. But yeah, man, that was it for today's show. So I will just re-emphasize, man. Send in questions. Tag me in any post on any social media you see me on. DM me. Shoot emails. Whatever you got to do.
House.
Right. I do have a PO box now. I don't even remember what my PO box number is.
Send it to all the ones in all the Maryland post office.
Right. There you go. Just send them. I'll find a way to get it. Carrier pigeon is also
exactly.
Doable. Whatever you got.
Can't wait till you get Mike Tyson's question.
So send in questions, man. Why do I like that show?
Because it's so weird.
Oh man, I haven't watched it in a while, but I watched one day I sat down, I watched 4 episodes. Like I don't know why I like this, but this show is hilarious.
I'm on this. I'm on this fight thread real quick for the KSI Logan Paul thing on the Reddit boxing. It's like 11,000 comments. This is more than I've seen for Canelo Golovkin.
Yeah, man, people were really invested in this. the fans showed out.
The top comment was 22-year-old male just paid $7.50 pound for 4 hours of meme boxing on Saturday night, living the dream.
Oh man. Yeah, man, you guys, man, please send in questions. Like I said, I will be tagging people in posts because I want some questions, and I want a lot of them. We're gonna have a nice, fun show. We just mailbag questions. Like I said, doesn't necessarily have to be combat sports related. It can be whatever. We just want to celebrate 100 episodes. My original goal was just to try to make it to 20, and here we are. All these episodes later, still hanging around. Numbers are looking better. It's been a fun ride. So 100 episodes, man. I want to celebrate with you guys. So send in all the questions you can think of, and we will answer them on our 100th episode. So as last for the plugs, hit us up. Facebook, Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page. Listen to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Please leave that rating and leave a review. I would definitely appreciate it. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. You can find me on Twitter @Serial Sensei. To the Tumblr crowd, you guys can hit us up too with the questions. Appreciate you guys for all the reposts and stuff too. You guys always hold us down, so appreciate that. Yeah, man, just get at us any way you can. Put in questions. Let's all bring in this 100th episode in with it'll be a good time. It'll be a nice fun time. But that's all we got for this week. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And we will catch you guys for episode 100. Peace.